So we can see that the data migration process that we talk about here, the key element is about data. So now in our module 2, we are going to look at, okay, what is data, okay, and then how we can transform data into information and then to knowledge. And from knowing what data is, then we try to understand with this data, what can we do next? And we will come to the data analytics. In this data analytics, we will try to understand different types of data analytics. All right. And then we, in part 2.3, we will look at some example, how different types of data analytics is able to answer different types of questions. And finally, we sum up this module 2 with an online quiz. And then here, data. What is data? All right, in a very simple way, okay, we define data is it is a very basic or very elementary description of something. What is that something? It could be people, it could be event, it could be organizations. All right, it's a description, a very simple, very elementary, okay, description of a country, things, activities, and transactions. Right, just like here, we can see that. For this is a you can say this is a vendor table. Here we have vendor, okay, vendor name, vendor address, okay, where the country where this vendor come from, the project code that it belongs, the sales date, sales value, and so on. Okay, here we can see that this will be the a single set of transaction detail about a vendor. Okay, it means we have a transaction with this vendor, so we have one transaction. We have one transaction record with our vendor. Then another vendor, Symphony, okay, LG, and so on, IBM, and so on. Right? I mean, for each of these individual, okay, row of data or individual transactions, what we see is that the information is actually very surface. It's just at the face value. All right. So what? Right. Okay. Oh, we know that our vendor is Philips. So there's nothing much action we can do. Okay. By knowing this alone. Correct. And then we have another customer table. Yeah, we have customer name, customer ABC, customer DEF. All right. And then this customer address. Okay. It come from which city and so on. Okay, is the customer type, the payment term, and so on. These are very individual, all right, and very specific oriented kind of very specific, very limited scope of data. Okay, that will be our data that describe that give us a elementary description of something. It could be a transaction. Here, what is this? Is the transaction. All right. Of course, here we know that our vendor name, for example, Philips, and then address, right? Our customer, ABC, and then address. This will be the data about a company, right? And this type of data usually we store in where? Maybe in our Excel, all right, in our database, for example, our MySQL database, MS SQL Server, Oracle database, and so on. Okay, it's being stored in a highly structured or in a tabular form in an Excel file or in a database. All right. Right. And the information that has been boxed here is simply represents that, okay, we have a elementary description of something, all right, of a person, of a company, of a structuration, but that's it. We know we can't take any further action from there. That will be data, the nature of data. Right. Here's another information about is about data. Right. For example, the US country, the US, the number of accumulated COVID-19 case, right? And then death, okay, death newly reported in last 7 days, just simply a figure, all right, coming from a country. And that's not much we can do about it, right? And then here I am showing you more example about data, okay? And this data will be from a business department perspective, right? So in a typical business organization, all right, a business department, of course, it will depends on which departments that we are talking about. But if you are the manufacturing department, maybe you have your BOM. BOM is bill of material. Okay, it describes our finished product, right? You have a finished product, for example, P1001. And this, in order to create this finished product, actually, we need to have this list of material. All right, this list of material is required in order to build this finished product. So this is the bill material for this finished product. And just telling us what is being required, right? All right, this is a typical data that we collect in an organization. How about production? If you are coming from the production department, we also have our production order. Okay, it tells us for a particular order, production order, okay, what are the costs, what are the quantity required, okay, and the type of production order, is it standard, special, or assembly, or whatsoever, right? This is a typical kind of department data that we see. If you are coming from the purchasing department, you have the purchase order, and of course, you purchase from who? Vendor, right? And the item that you want to purchase from this particular vendor, and the unit quantity, unit price, and total price, and so on. And then we also in a department, if you are from the sales department, we also have sales order. We are selling to a customer. C42000. Okay, what we are selling to this customer, there will be a list of items sold. Okay, unit bought, and then the unit price and the total amount, and so on, and sent to where, right? Right, that will be our sales order. And then for our if we are coming from, if we are talking about warehouse department, right? Warehouse department, we may have a pick list whereby we have to pick based on customer order. We need to pick. We need to go to the warehouse to pick the related product for our customer. So this will be our pick list, right? This represent what we pick from our warehouse. Still represent an individual transaction. All right. This individual pick form, what we're going to pick, right? So what we can see here is that basically our data here is you can say standalone, and what we see here is actually face value, because the data is too specific to a particular person or to a particular order. It does not create much value. We just get to know what it is. That's it. Okay, and that's the nature of data. Okay, from the basic or preliminary or from its elementary description perspective. And then if our data, if we have collected a lot of data, and this data we are going to reorganize it, we're going to integrate with other more and more data set, or actually we're going to do the statistically model. And this collective of data set will become information, right? For example, we can see that, for example, we have a naked fiber organization, okay, and this is a report, all right, sales report showing that different types of product, all right, and the quantities sold in the first quarter, second quarter, and so on. And then for all of the quarter 1 to 4 to the fourth quarter, the total sales for this product one, and then we draw a bar chart right? From here, because we have accumulated the total sales in first quarter for product one, and then we also conduct a further accumulation of the total sales for the subsequent quarter 2, 3, and 4. It become a grand total for this product over a year or over the 4 quarters, right? And we know, okay, we know that out of maybe here we have 15 products. We know that this product number 1 sells the best, right? We can do some ranking. We can do some tabulation, ranking, and display. So it tells us something, right? And this is what information is about. Okay, information comes from data that have been collected over some time. Okay, has been collected from various maybe customer or vendors, from various orders. Okay, it will tell us something not at the surface, something's more in depth. All right, show us the total. Okay, total spread over different quarters, and then show us over the time, all right, among X number of product and which product sells the best. So this become an information. All right, and information usually is being shown in a report. This is also another report, right? This show us the manufacturing data. All right. Here we can see that this is the daily data about the components, or actually the product completed, right? You can see this the daily component completed, and we use this information. We use each of these data to draw a graph, right? And this graph, of course, if you look at the individual bar, it may be still data, but what it can be considered as information, because this data is being collected over some period of time. All right, and it shows us the pattern, right? You can see the pattern of this based on the height of this bar. And this one also information, because the data that we have collected, we have done some accumulation. We do some data tallying, and then we get the total of it. All right, and then actually we can count. Okay, the percent, the which segment of customer contribute to a company's revenue, right? For example, from here we know that customer from segment 3 contribute to 43% of revenue, all right, of a company's revenue. So it's telling us something, right? And this is an information. It shows us which customer is more profitable relative to the others, and so on. Right? It also tells us the acquisition cost of each customer, of customers in each segment, right? So it's more meaningful, and it has value in it. And then for information, besides information is being shown in beside report, is also, of course, in our report we have graph, right? The information can also be shown in the dashboard. This is our dashboard. And what is the dashboard? Dashboard is actually you can say a one-page interface that allows us to see several business KPI. All right. For example, we can see a KPI about digital vitality score is one KPI table or graph. This is another KPI about organization strategy. All right. Are we competitive enough Are we achieving our goal, of our vision and goal? Are we, all right, are we meeting the digital ethics? All right, are we meeting our financials expectations? All right, this is another graph on a KPI, and this KPI is about strategy. All right, and then another KPI graph will be data. Okay, are we satisfying our data security, our data sharing, data governance? All right, they're showing the KPIs. Okay, means dashboard is a single page of an interface. All right, that show us several KPI of an organization. All right, it means we can see the performance in one interface, in one page. And this will be another dashboard. This dashboard is a map-oriented dashboard which illustrates the data from the World Health Organization showing the current status of COVID-19 back in year 2022, right? Okay, it shows us, okay, for each country, okay, which country is having, is serious, is having a serious problem with COVID-19, right? Yeah, and this has been illustrated based on different color in this, as shown in this legend. Yeah, this is a dashboard. Dashboard is actually through a single page of display, we can see all the necessary information, regardless it's about world data or it is about an organization, various KPIs. Okay.